Well, this is a spontaneous sharing. I feel moved to speak a little about the bifurcation point. If you've been following me on Facebook, you may have read my recent posts over the past, few weeks, few months, where I often speak about the bifurcation point. I often speak about the place that we've arrived at individually and collectively. So I just want to say a few words about that right now. Okay, just checking my sound here. The bifurcation point, the point of maximum stress, which I feel, as many people feel, is the point we've arrived at in humanity. The point of maximum stress. There's either a breakdown or a breakthrough. It's at the point of maximum stress that a system either completely breaks down, devolves, or evolves to a higher order. We see it in the physical living organism when there's a healing crisis, when there is an illness or a disease, perhaps a fever, which is the point of maximum stress, where the system, the living organism either goes further back into disease, or there's a kind of healing intelligence that gets activated that then sets in motion the healing process and return to wellness and well-being. We see it on an emotional level when we reach a kind of emotional crisis point where the stress on the system in coping, in meeting painful feelings reaches a maximum point of personal capacity, and we either go into panic, anxiety, even more fear, and sometimes even psychosis. Yeah, we have a personal breakdown. We just can't handle it anymore, and usually we get medicated or something horrible like that. Or we reach that point of maximum unbearability, a maximum emotional pain, intensity, and there's something in us, some wisdom, some intelligence or some grace that allows us, or some support that allows us to meet the naked fact, the naked reality of that pain without the overlay of panic and what will happen to me and the story that gets attached to that. And in that there's a transformation. We become stronger, we become more resilient, and we may have an insight and a breakthrough to a more spacious and self-loving place in ourselves. And then we see it on a spiritual level in what we might call the dark night of the soul, where we may find a deep sense of abandonment or darkness, even though we may have done a lot of spiritual work. And this can either devolve into more alienation and aloneness and spiritual bereftness, or there can be a breakthrough in this as we sit with it, as we meet this dark inner landscape, this empty inner landscape, this barren inner landscape, without flinching back from it and without trying to push through it. We just sit with it, and we sit with it, and we sit with it. And there's a lovingness that comes with that, a gentleness that comes with that, and also a tenacity of just staying present. Then there can be a huge transformation, what we might call an awakening out of the dream of self. So this bifurcation point it's in societies as well, when we reach a point where the society breaks down and a new structure starts to evolve out of that. Well, here we are collectively, and here we are individually at that bifurcation point, and so many people are feeling this intensity and feeling this maybe panic, maybe fear, or maybe some sense of some anticipation of something new. So this is the place where the road forks into two, where we are called to, if you like, make a choice, but that choice isn't from the ego self. That choice is from the depth of us. Do we fall back into the narratives, the individual narratives and the collective narratives that pull us further into the matrix of separation? Or do we wait, stand as silent awareness, which does not mean being passive. It often gets confused with that. But stand as silent awareness means being alert, being still, and yet ready to respond in a nano moment. Do we stand as that? Do we stand as the open heart before we react from fear-based narratives? And in that standing at this fork in the road, it's as if a new timeline offers itself to us, and we rise as love. We rise as the true warriors of the heart that we are. And individually and collectively, there is the possibility of something new, of the birth of a new world within us as a new state of consciousness, and as the birth of a new world which may take time to manifest. But this bifurcation point, I'm only really saying this as an encouragement that there isn't something terribly wrong, but something, if you like, terribly right in the situation that we find ourselves, despite all the horrors. And I'm not speaking of those. I'm not speaking about the facts of what's happening. I'm speaking about where we stand in ourselves and how we stand in ourselves. Can we meet life? Can we meet reality? Can we meet the world from the ground, from a ground of love, the ground of love within ourselves? And what does that love look like? What does it mean? Because one of the most common things that I get asked is, isn't that passive? Doesn't that mean that we just bury our heads in the sand? Isn't that spiritual bypassing? And my answer to that is a categorical no. It's not spiritual bypassing. That is not at all what I'm speaking of. Now, I would love to explore these questions much more. What does it actually mean to meet reality from the ground of love, to meet our lives, to meet the world from the ground of love? What does it mean to live the truth in the midst of the human mess, if you like, that we find ourselves in, amidst all the horror and the pain and the fear and the confusion? What does it really mean? This is where the spiritual rubber hits the road. Yeah, it's no longer a spiritual issue, it's a human issue. Our very humanity is at stake. Our very sovereignty is at stake. And I feel that everything that I've been speaking of and teaching, if you like, and sharing over the years, and everything I've written about in my books has come to this. It never was about becoming spiritual. It never was about spiritual transcendence. Although awakening out of the dream of ego, out of the matrix of separation, has always been the foundation. It is the foundation. There can be no true transformation without that. But it was never about living in some spiritual la-la land. It was about the vision of a new humanity, born within each of us. Yes, not waiting for the world to wake up, not waiting for everyone else to wake up, not waiting for everyone to be spiritual, because it's not to do with that. It's about each of us taking responsibility for that inner revolution, which makes all the difference in how we meet each other, how we meet the world, how we meet ourselves. So these are the questions, this is the inquiry that I offer and continue to offer, and perhaps if you'd if you'd like to join me on this in this inquiry, then I'll be exploring it more deeply in a couple of events coming up. We have a couple of online events. There's an online meeting on September the 17th. That's next Thursday. I wasn't going to mention this, but since we're talking about it, here it is, the invitation to join me on September the 17th. There's a short 90-minute meeting. There'll be time for questions and answers, and then there's a weekend retreat on September the 22nd and 26th, 27th, in which we have a lot more time and space to meet each other and to go on this journey of inquiry into what it means to live the truth in today's world. I hope to see you soon. Bye for now.